Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Tetragrammaton. This is turn 15. Let's jump into the turn. Alright, so a very short turn as far as messages go, but kind of interesting. So we again get to witness the war between Yomi and Vamoria, and then we are moving and kind of trying to finalize our borders. Actually, this isn't finalizing our borders. This is taking something back from our terrible misfortune skills, which I just like. I do not know if I will ever play. Like, I've gotten really used to playing fortune scales. I don't know that after this game, I'm not sure I can go back. But we'll see. All right, let's watch this Yomi Vamoria battle. Kind of an interesting one. Okay, so what is up here? So we've got an army from Vamoria that looks like it's pretty piecemeal. So we've got a Mercs, the Gunter Blutkrafts Macemen, right? We've got a couple of unmarked. We've got a couple of Furbolg warriors mixed in with things. We've got a Dominion here or there. We've got some of these Horse Tribe cavalry, okay? And then we've actually got a Fomorian king in the back. You guys are badasses. And we've got an unmarked champion, two unmarked champions, and a regular commander. So Fomorian kings are amazing super combatants, right? They got kind of a weird stat line, but you can absolutely make them work. They've got crazy good paths for a lot of different things. They're just dope. Like, they're just really, really cool. On the other side, we've got and I love Yomi. I love Yomi. I love the just random assortment of troops that Yomi ends up having. Right? Okay, so we've got most importantly, right? We've got two Oni Shugos, and then we've got a Dioni, and they generate a little posse of wolves. Okay. We've got some, and I'm assuming this is province defense, right? We've got some militia, we've got some archers. All right. Not bad, actually, because while the unmarked have no, actually everyone has shields. I was gonna say, I guess I'm thinking of myself, right? We've got shields, but we don't have helmets. Everyone here, I think, actually does have helmets. No, the Furbolg warriors don't have helmets, so it's possible they get like headshot. Okay, so archers are gonna be crap. But very importantly, we have all the demon chaff, and that's where this is really good, is the demon chaff, right? Having all the Ao Onis and the Ko Onis and the Onis is gonna be good. So let's watch what happens from kind of a big macro view initially. So we got some blessings out, a little bit of buffing. Someone's into Iron Skin already. Nice, interesting. So the wolves come out, and they're gonna hit the Macemen / Horse Cavalry. But all they do, again, they just destabilize the line. So now you can see we have all of these Macemen in these little pockets running forward. And these ones down here, they're gonna get chopped. These ones right here are gonna run into the Ao Onis, and they're gonna get chopped. These ones up here are running into Ao Onis, they're getting chopped. And the Macemen are gone. The Macemen are routed. Easy peasy. So this was partially a mistake on Vamoria's part. I guess my assumption is he wanted to try to utilize the Macemen as a front line, right? And then bless up his unmarked, having time to bless up his unmarked, and then come in and do damage that way. But the problem is he should have just had them out front a little ways and had them on hold and attack, and then they would have met in a more even line, right? Or had some more backup, because the Macemen are dead now, and the Fomorians are just now actually getting into the battle. And the way they're getting into a battle is pretty bad, right? So now they've got this kind of curved line here, right? This diagonal line. And what's doing is it's making each of these guys, because they're size 4, only one of them sits in a square. So when you have a diagonal line like this, what happens is you have both a front exposed and a side exposed. So instead of you're a size 4 giant, right? You hit really hard. Instead of only dealing with like 2 to 3 people, depending on whether you're fighting like size 3, which would be me, right? Or size 2, which would be these Onis, right? And like I think these Kuro Onis, they're size 3, right? So between 2 and 3 targets in front of you. Instead of fighting that, you're fighting between 2 and 3 targets in front of you, and between 2 and 3 targets on the side of you. And that's just not going to work. Like, you're just going to get cut down. And that's basically kind of what happens. Is the diagonal line favors the numerically superior force because they get more attacks in. Now, I think at the end of the day, even if it was a straight line, I think Yomi just has more of the right stuff here. So even if they straight lined, right? I think Fomoriya still loses this, but I think it would be closer at that point. Like if Fomoriya has a straight line and his macemen and they all kind of like crash together, I think Fomoriya has a better chance, but I think he still loses. And honestly, a good part of it is how Yomi is setting up with the wolves, with the staggered contingents, right? The way he is setting up his army is, I don't know if it's intentional or if it's just accidental, but the way he's setting it up is that it doesn't hit in a straight line. It hits in all these staggered pockets, and that favors Yomi. Because Yomi has these little demons that hit really hard and have like a second life, and you can fit more of them into a square, etc., etc. Now, Fomoriya is a very strong early game nation, but this loss and the previous loss, that's a big deal. I think at this point, Fomoriya is spending so much money on unmarks because they have a pretty aggressive bless that I would be surprised with how, and having such an aggressive bless, I would assume that they don't have great scales. So I would be surprised if they can keep this type of loss up much longer, right? I don't know what their research is, but I can't imagine it's very good. I say that it's someone was in Alteration 3. I assume it was actually the Dione though. Alteration 3. So I don't know. If Fomoriya is close to like Lightning Bolt, then this might turn into something that's fine, right? If they can suddenly drag in some not Firbolg druids, but what are they called? Fomorian druids, right? If they can drag in some Fomorian druids and start lightning bolt spamming, that might turn into a good thing. But this is the second pretty big loss here in Verdant Steppe by Fomoriya. And now that we've kind of like seen the scope of Fomoriya's expansion, Fomoriya expanded up here really aggressively and kind of screwed us over, right? But they haven't expanded really aggressively in any other directions. They were basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Aside from this, that's 12, 13, 14, 15. They're actually not that much larger than we are. So that's kind of interesting, and to then have these repeated losses is obviously going to be a big deal. So, moving back, we have our battle in the Greenwoods. Let's go ahead and watch this. Okay, so this is a pretty simple battle, but it is a bunch of barbarians, and this can get dangerous. Barbarians hit very, very hard. But now that we have our bless up, I'm way more confident in most of what we do. One, we are going to assassinate this. Oh, that's not a leader. Never mind. Where's the leader? Got leader 1 here with the sword and leader 2 here with the sword. I do love that, by the way. I love that you can pick out the leaders, and you can pick out the leaders for other reasons. Why, right? Like this guy is net rather than a blonde, or this guy actually has a cap on, right? But I like just looking for the swords, you know? So the leaders are mixed in. That's unfortunate. But with the Mushushus in the rear, right? So see, the barbarians hit even the Mushushus. They hit the Mushushus hard, right? But the Mushushus regenerate. The Mushushus kill just as quickly, if not more quickly, than the barbarians do, right? Almost every attack from a Mushushu is going to be end up being a death, right? The gore and the claw are both more than enough to pop a 13 health barbarian. Multiple attacks is really a big thing. Like, so comparatively, Mushushus are size 5 versus the unmarked, right? Let's go back to the Formoria problem, right? The unmarked are size 4. They fit into a single square. Well, okay, you can put a size 2 in with the size 4, right? So, because you can have up to 6 points in a square. So a size 4 and a size 2 can mix. That's okay, right? So in theory, size 5 can go with size 1, but you know, that's having access to size 1s. And size 6 can go with nothing. But in practice, what tends to happen, right, is it tends to be that size 4s end up fighting alone a lot of the times, unless you're mixing your troop compositions correctly. Size 5s almost always end up fighting alone. So unmarked versus like a Mushushu, and this isn't like a full comparison with stats. Obviously, the Mushushu is better. It's like 3 times more expensive. However, the important thing is the Mushushu has way more attacks than the unmarked does. And that's kind of the problem with unmarked, right? That's why Mushushu can be good, whereas unmarked are almost always kind of like, right? They're not bad, don't get me wrong. Like, they hit like trucks and you can bless them. But comparatively to most other sacreds, I'm not a fan of unmarks. I would rather, that's why, like, if I was playing Formoria, again, Formoria is one of those nations where I very rarely go a heavy bless, because they have such good basic troops. Like, their furbolgs are so good, and you can just spam them out. They're not expensive, right? So if you have really good scales, you can afford a shit ton of mages, and Fomorian mages are amazing, and you just fucking roll people with really good basic troops and crazy mage lines. Why worry about being sacred? Okay, so we smash Greenwoods, very cool. And I'm feeling better, right? We still have a Nap 3 with Pangea. We have nothing going on with Kailasa, but I think they're at war with Hinnom, I believe. I'm not sure, but I believe. Because I heard some rumbling within the community about Kailasa not keeping their word. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Actually, I'm going to move back over here. Because if there is some fighting in this direction, I kind of want to know, because I might, like, vulture some of these provinces. We'll see. Okay. So we have a Nap 3 with Pangea. Kailasa doesn't seem to be a threat or is busy at the moment. And even if they came at us, it would be a very narrow front, right? So I'm not sure they're interested in that. Agartha basically isn't an issue. They are an issue for us. We are having issues with them. But the issue is how to get my dumb ass up there fast enough to actually take advantage of them dying, right? Fomoria is in a war with Yomi. Yomi is in a war with Fomoria. Lanka is down here, right? But we're kind of they're hemmed away from us, right? By Fomoria and Relay. And then Relay, obviously Relay is doing the pawn stuff. So Relay is potentially going to be a big problem for us in the near future, because especially if we take the Agarthan lands, then Relay is, we're going to border them on the north and south, and we don't have great water capabilities. That's kind of, it's weird, right? Once we get underwater, Ur is odd, because once they don't have a good way to get underwater, but once they get underwater, they are not bad. They're not great, but they're not bad because they actually have special underwater units. They're shitty, but they're there, you know? So, I don't know. Relay is probably going to be an issue for us. I don't want Relay to be an issue for us, because if Relay becomes a problem and we have to start facing off against Relay, then the issue that I have there is if we win, which is possible. It's not necessarily a thing that will happen or won't happen, but it's possible. If we were to win, then we do the wraparound band, and any game you do a wraparound band in, if you're not like way out in front, people are gonna eat your ass. Like, people are gonna go, oh, this guy controls everything in a north to south or east to west line. That's not good. Kill him. And we don't want that to happen. So anyways, I'm talking about random stuff in the future. Let's talk about what's going on right now. We have NC1's reinforced army, because we made a couple units here in Könberg, and we are making more units as we go forward. We have NC1's reinforced army taking White Peaks, which shouldn't be an issue, right? It's just some militias, heavy cavs, and light cavs. Very small province, easy peasy. We're just hopefully finishing out our border with Pangaea. Right, this is the agreed upon border. We're probably not going to take Titan's Breath because there's devils there and I don't want to deal with that right now. But that being said, we might, and part of the reason why we might is because this turn we're recruiting a Gala, right? And then next turn we might also recruit a Gala. And then what I might do is I might toss, you know, 2 nature gems on each Gala and a nature gem on this Inci, and then roll into Titan's Breath and do Swarm 5 times and hope that that's enough. And sometimes it is, right? If there's only 80 enemy units, we're getting to the point to where we have a sizable little force here. We're recruiting more. So if we recruit, what is this, like 7 guys here this turn and 7 guys next turn, that'd be another 14. I don't know that that's what we're gonna do, but we'd be around 40-ish at that point. 40-ish versus 80, supported by a bunch of swarm casts. I say a bunch of swarm casts. We're not gonna have swarm then. We're gonna be so close though. So maybe we would wait around a turn. I don't know. This is an option. This is kind of what's on my mind, is thinking about, do we go for Titan's Breath or do we go down here to Wood of Many Paths? I'm not sure. So we are hitting White Peaks this turn though. We are moving Masanapada back into Ur. He's going to be picking up all of these guys and all of these guys. And the goal is to have about, again, 40-ish units. This with 5 Mushushus, which will be great. And then they're going to head up north. We are recruiting more stuff in Bell here or there. Next turn or the turn afterwards, we're probably going to use all our money because our income's still pretty crappy. But we're probably still we're just gonna use all our money and make a fort here in Perenna because we need one. We should have had one a long time ago. It's turn 15. We've got 2 forts. One is just a basic fortification. It's really crappy. I was I changed what I was planning on doing with Perenna and everything else because I was under the assumption that we would be on Agartha now and we would be popping the fort in the next, turn or two. But that's not been the case, so it's going to be, again, right, it's turn 15 right now, it'll be turn 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 before we even make it to Agartha, and that's if nothing else has changed, maybe Relay is just like, oh, Agartha's tiny, let's kill Agartha. My hope there is that Relay just doesn't know, and Relay sees this, right, but he doesn't see this. That's the situation. I don't know, fingers crossed. Doifa, doifa. So let's look at recruitment real quick. We're getting a Gala and some Guards down in Könberg. We're getting a Gala, a Mushushu, Inky's Chosen, and Guards in And we're getting some just Enkidu warriors in Bell. We have some pretty high priorities. I think priority number 1 is trying to get a fort up in Perenna. Okay? Priority number 2, after that fortification, right, is obviously I want to get the forts in Könberg and Perenna upgraded. However, I also want to get a lab in Ctesiphon and a lab in Sinkhole Swamp so that I can just start recruiting shamans and recruiting crystal sorceresses. Okay? I think both would be incredibly valuable for us. That costs money, and our money is kind of just garbage right now. Is the issue? I'm really regretting doing a bless build on I think I've said this a number of times at this point, but I normally, when I play I normally play them as a Scales Nation because they've got good basic units that can take advantage of buffs and things like that, right? They've got size 3s. You can fit 2 size 3s, 2 Inkies chosen, you know, into a square. Hits pretty hard. It's pretty good. And the Mushushus, even unblessed, the Mushushus are still great units, right? So if you're turn 30 or 40 and you have, you know, 20 or 30 Mushushus running around because you've lost a couple here or there, you're still pretty well off. But having a crap ton of money, having great scales, allows you not only to take advantage of indies like this, but also allows you to utilize Enkidu Shaman, which are extremely expensive units, but have extremely high nature and pretty high earth, and have randoms, so you can end up being nature 4 very easily. And nature 4, right, nature's super easy to climb up. Thistle Mesh, you can be nature 5. So Enkidu Shamans are super awesome, especially if you get Mother Oak up. You can get to the point to where you're just pumping out Enkidu Shamans. And again, their big issue is that they cost a shit ton of upkeep. But if you have scales, that hurts you less, right? The initial cost is not as big of a deal. The upkeep is less of a deal, but it's still a deal. But what you do is you just take, like I said, like Mother Oak, and you turn them, and you do, shit, what's it called? Transformation? Yeah. So, and if you have luck, right? Because if you're a scales build, why not have luck? If you have luck, you're gonna be more successful on your transformations. So that's what I tend to do with this time I decided to do something else, and while it's not that I'm not having fun with it, I'm definitely in the vein of like, no, I think I like scales better. So we'll see how it goes though. We've got a general game plan for Agartha. We've got a tentative concept for what's going down in around Könberg. We still need to get Wood of Many Paths. We're getting closer to Alteration 4, and as soon as we get Swarm, I think we're going to start utilizing our God again for a couple things. Probably take Fever Fens. I don't know. Maybe do some other stuff. I'm not sure. But yeah, it should not be a big... And we got to keep eyes on these conflicts. So I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.